Matt DeBerry, Dean Legge, Ryan Curley, riding home here with you. And we were talking about this a second ago, Matt. Kirby Smart's never been on the back foot. He's always front foot. He's always aggressive. Has he become more aggressive in 2025? And what's the ramification from that been, if any?
It certainly feels like he has. I go back to the key 4th and 1 against Ole Miss, down 9. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. They're almost at midfield, and they go for it. It was a clutch moment for the team, but we've seen them come up with big 4th downs throughout the year. He's coaching aggressively. They're going for it aggressively on 4th down. I didn't hate the 4th and 1 call against Alabama that got stuffed. I had a bigger problem with the 3rd and 9 screen pass to Cash Jones, I think a possession or two later that got blown up. But I like the aggressiveness. And in an era, Ryan, of college football where field goals are becoming less and less, and you're more analytical, and people are going for it more on 4th down, and it's really worked out in a way in Georgia's favor. And I think they're going more towards that, especially depending on where they are on the field. But listen, I think you have to be somewhat aggressive in ways if you're going to win it all. If you don't have necessarily the most talented team, I think they're one of the more talented teams, but I think Kirby Smart knows I've got to coach in a little bit different type of way, and I maybe need to be more aggressive if we're going to win it all this year. And so far, it's worked out most of the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the analytics. That's at least what you're going to hear from the coaches. And we've heard that from Kirby more and more as time's gone on, how they're paying attention to the percentages on this situation, the percentages on that situation. And it's a justification for these aggressive decisions. And it works. And you see it at the NFL level too,
Too
that it's
much.
happening a lot. And it's probably happening. I don't know if I could say more or less, but like you look at the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell and his aggressiveness and the Rams with Sean McVay and the Eagles are aggressive on 4th down. They got one play for it, but they're aggressive on 4th down. You see it a lot on the NFL, and Kirby likes to run this program as close to the NFL as he possibly can. They talked about it this week, how a lot of their offensive concepts are ones that you see at the professional level. So I think a lot of it does have to do with analytics. Some of it's a feel, and you just got to feel in the moment. I don't know if I could say whether or not he's too aggressive or not aggressive enough. I don't necessarily agree with every decision that they've made. But it does feel like that 4th down has been working for them a lot this season. The play you're talking about against Ole Miss, I think, was a Josh McCray run where he looked like he got stuffed, and then all of a sudden he just appears on the other side of the pile. And then the play call this past weekend, the having Monroe Freeland go in motion and running a little boot play to Chauncey Bowens. They're getting really creative, and then you see the onside kick. I don't think
Yeah,
we talked
exactly.
about that yet. They're up 11 in the fourth quarter with all the momentum, and they go for the kill shot with an onside kick. So he's certainly been maybe a little more aggressive that you notice off the top of your head this year, but I think a lot of it does have to do with analytics, and it's definitely bled into the game.
They are the number 6 team in the country on fourth down conversions, 75%. I know they had a fourth down fail against Auburn. I think there was another one. Um, they have failed on fourth down 3 times. I don't recall all of them, and it's possible you could have a Ryan Puglisi drive in there too. Just because you're good at fourth down conversions, percentage wise, doesn't mean you're good at being a football team. For instance, North Carolina is one of the top ones at 79%. I think I think I think when you have this is a tricky way for me to say this. I think when you have clearly the best team, it's easy to be conservative. And I think by and large, Kirby has been a conservative person, a conservative coach, plenty of his time. There's no reason to be, reckless if you want to call it that way. But think about the 2017 South Carolina game, Matt. I think they started the game or the second half off with an onside kick. Didn't work. The other question is, so the Alabama fourth down go for it. I remember talking on the sideline. I was talking to Jason Getz, who's a photographer for the AJC. I mean, we jibber jabber sometimes. And I think this past week when they were against Texas, the first fourth down that they went for, I was like, I would probably punt this. It felt like they kind of probably needed to get going. The question I've got to you on this front, Matt, is have we reached the point with the Georgia defense right now that it's okay to roll the dice sometimes, because earlier this season, I'm not sure you could say that. There's a couple of different ways to look at things. When teams like you're playing like Tech, Tennessee, or Ole Miss who can really score, do you have to go for it because you need to score? Or like there's different reasons to go for it on fourth down. And the aggression is not necessarily just fourth down calls. We're talking about that, but it's been the onside kick. It's been, I don't necessarily think it's a more aggressive defense, but that paid off with aggression too. It's tricky because aggression can backfire on you. That's what screens and draws are for.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it goes back to the trust of his players. One play that sticks in my mind wasn't a fourth down or anything, but it was that long pass to Dylan Bell to kind of secure
Oh
that
yeah,
Ole Miss game late. I mean, that was
yeah,
a third and maybe three, and they throw what appeared to be a low percentage pass, but he trusted Gunnar Stockton to make the throw, and he trusted Dylan Bell to make the catch. So there is a lot of trust that he has in his guys, or else they wouldn't be as aggressive. But I do think that he's starting to trust this defense more and more. And I think Glenn Schumann has done a good job with that group. They love to tell us how young they still are, Ryan. But a lot of these guys are growing up and making plays, and we saw a little bit more of a pass rush. And the linebackers, those young ones that we've heard all about, they're making plays. DeMello Jones is looking like an outstanding cornerback who could be in for a massive year next year. So the young guys are stepping up, and Elijah Griffin's not a freshman anymore, too. He played a bunch of snaps out there. So Kirby likes this team. He has no problem saying that. And there's a lot of trust there. And I think that goes hand in hand with the aggressive play style that we've seen from him this year.
Yeah, I think Bobo has certainly been aggressive in certain moments throughout the year too. The touchdown to tie the game from Gunnar Stockton to London Humphreys, that wasn't on third or fourth down. I think that was a second down play when they threw that fade route into the end zone this past weekend. Um, the play call where Gunnar, it looks like it's a quarterback power out to the right, and then they faked it and threw it
yeah.
to the end
That
zone
was
to
a
Lawson
great play
Lucky.
call.
They could have just kept running the clock down and kicked a field goal. They would have been completely fine in that game. But we're seeing aggressive play calls in certain moments. They come out with a flea flicker against Ole Miss. That's the first play of the game. That's a little bit different, not in a high intensity moment, but I think you're seeing them kind of go deeper into their bag of tricks, and it's almost shocking to me that they went into the onside kick trick bag or whatever you want to call it this early, right? That's something I almost feel like you save for a bigger game, but they're doing it in defense, offense, and special teams. They've dialed up blitzes on certain downs. That's not really anything new. The the way that they handled the punt situation out in Starkville, where he took the page out of Marcus Freeman's book, that was a pretty
Yep.
aggressive thing to do, where you do the sub twice and make them call timeout and then do it again. So we're seeing they want to win. That's what this is about. That they want to win, and he knows that this team is not as talented as the ones that took him to national championships. And he knows that college football is a little bit different. And he sees, look, they barely beat Florida, they barely beat Auburn, they barely beat a bunch of these teams. Some of them being really good teams, but some of it's been by the skin of their teeth. The aggressiveness is coming out of partially need and partially just wanting to win.
Yeah, here's the thing about this situation right now is the coaches on that staff, they see these guys every day. They know the feel of their team. Fans, media, we just see what we see. We don't see behind the scenes. And it may be that this coaching staff feels like, hey, we have to be aggressive with these guys. Where it's the risk of it not paying off, we can live with that as long as these guys know we have to go forward all the time. And I think that that's something to remember too, is what is the psychology of the team behind the scenes? What is this team like? We say they're younger, and they are younger, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. But it may be that this Georgia team has to go forward in a particular way. Let Sales Hatch help you out this holiday season. They're a Roswell-based company that's going to get you leads for your small business. Again, running a small business or two, I know it's not the easiest thing on earth to reach out to people all the time. I had a connection yesterday with someone, and they apologized for not returning some phone calls of mine. It's tough to run businesses. Sales Hatch can help you run your business cleaner, more efficiently by getting the leads and the connections that you need. We're talking about connections all the time with Georgia. Let Sales Hatch get the connections for you with their Roswell-based company. Matt, Kirby's never going to be passive. How will this matter as the season moves on with the quote aggression? Again, last year against oh my gosh, Notre Dame, with however many seconds were left in the half, they were like, "Hey, we got to go." They were losing that game. This one they weren't against Texas. I think his default is always moving forward. But how will that affect them as this season's winding down? We got a long way to go till the national championship game, but this season is winding down.
Well, it only takes one bold call to go wrong for everyone to start getting up in arms again, right? So with the aggression comes the chance of maybe it not working out and he, kind of looks dumb. But like Ryan said, I think maybe in another video, it always goes back to analytics. So we could always, talk about that. But at the end of the day, they've been working the aggressive play style that I don't know they came into the season with, but they've certainly used, has them at number 4 in the country, 9-1, and they're in a position where everything is still in front of them. I don't think they're going to go away with what they've done this year, but a lot of it is just circumstance, where they are in the game, and how they're playing at the time.
They've been in a lot of pivotal moments, and that's
Yeah.
why you're seeing some of the aggressiveness that they've been in situations where it calls for it, whether it's analytics or just feel for the moment. Um, having Gunnar Stockton be efficient and be dual threat gives them more capabilities to do different things on offense. I think that it's just part of what this team has been this year and may have to be moving forward as you said the season's winding down. If they do end up in the national championship game, if they make it that far, we're talking about 5 or 6 more games, something like that. So there's still a good stretch if they're going to, be holding trophies towards the end of the season. But I just think it's part of the identity of this team. It has been. They've been more aggressive in the past. I think it is noticeable.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.